Hey, good morning. I'm Musings episode number 404. I think
Yeah,
is it 404 like the what they use for when you can't find a page on the internet? It's like error 404 or something like that.
I think you're right.
So okay, so I guess we're in error today.
Error 404.
Yeah.
It is HTTP 404. Yeah.
Yep.
Page not found.
There we go. So
There we
Paige
go.
isn't found. I have no idea where she's at, but maybe she'll show up.
That's right.
uh so what's going on, Scott?
Ah, I don't know. This last week is it's like wait, how did a whole week pass here? So I don't know. I don't even know what I did in the last 7 days.
Yeah. I you
Just
can still hear it
flying.
in my voice a little bit of the congestion in that, but
Yeah.
I'm way better than I was a week ago. But yeah, I fought that for all last week and then I still worked all weekend. Um,
Yeah.
and this is the worst I've had. It was bronchitis, and it affected my lungs pretty good. So it's going to take a little bit
Did it?
still to get 100%, but I'm getting there. But yeah, but holiday weekend, and as a ship shopper, it was a little odd because I was not as busy as I thought it might be, but I didn't expect it to
Yeah.
be too busy. But the hard part is that it falls into the holiday was, what the 20, let's see, 28, 27, 26 was Memorial Day. It's still like 5 days until June 1st. So in terms of how people get
Yeah.
paid, how the month falls, it's kind of falling early versus later for everybody.
Yeah.
So it throws everything off on that. And plus, it just feels like between Easter being late, then Mother's Day, and
Right.
now Memorial Day, we've had
It
a
just
lot of
all
holidays. So boom, boom, boom. So
yeah,
I got,
it's thrown my timing off, and I
yeah,
think that's why like you said, it's like what happened to this week?
yeah,
Like it and it just feels off, but
yeah.
it's all is good. We were busy with real estate. We got a client of ours we've been working with for a while. I'll throw this into my I'll just turn it into my ad. Team Titans. A client of ours has been looking for over a year now. He wants lakefront property right on Lake St. Clair there, and it's been hard to find what he's looking for. And we got a little bit creative with our approach and found him a place and wrote up a deal. And it turned out they were just about to go live on the market. So it turned out really good. We were able to get him in there, got his offer accepted before any other people were able to swoop in and have bidding wars with him. So that was really nice. So,
Oh, good.
anyways, if you have a dream home, or we're in the unofficial start of summer is here now. So, if you're looking for lakefront living or houses with pools, anything like that, give us a call, 586-232-5144. If you're looking for a second home or a vacation home or a primary home up in Port Austin, Michigan, right near the water, we have a listing coming up in about 2, maybe 3 weeks. That's going to be coming up.
Okay.
So keep your eyes open for that. But if that's something you're thinking of, give us a call now because we can help get you in the front of the line there for when that comes up. So give us a call. We're here for you.
Excellent. Excellent. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So did that, and then we saw Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Well, I plan on going to see
Yesterday.
it, but if you want to
Yeah.
give any little talk about it, you can. But
I'll just do spoiler free. I don't want to spoil it. All I'll say is this: I don't understand how it has an 89% fan score on tomatoes. Don't get it.
okay.
Um, I'll just say that I loved. I felt this was a series that got stronger with each movie, and especially the last few I really loved. Uh, this one didn't do it for me.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, once I see it, we'll have to compare
yeah,
notes on that. I probably won't get to see
yeah,
it for at least another week. So
yeah. As always, the action's amazing. The stunt sequences are amazing.
yeah,
There's no denying those scenes. From what I'm reading, it sounds like he's about to do a movie. His next movie is going to be in space. He's working with SpaceX and NASA, and it's going to actually be filmed in space.
yeah, he's really. I think the one thing I respect about Tom Cruise the most with the filmmaking as of the last decade, he's really gotten back into. It is big productions, but he's get back into these. These are movies you go see in the theater.
Yeah.
He's not making them for cable or Netflix or streaming or whatever. He wants people to go back because he loves movies. I mean, he talks all the time. He watches one or two movies a day himself. So,
Which he's in really good shape for watching that many movies.
well,
I watch
I
movies like that.
guarantee.
I don't look like him.
Well, I guarantee you, he's watching movies while running a treadmill or something like that.
Oh, I bet you're right.
Something like that. But he is, yeah, he's 62. He'll be
Yeah.
63 on July 3rd.
He's in phenomenal shape in the movie too.
He's really he's starting to see it a little bit in his face more since Maverick.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely is a little more. He's still very fit. And that's
Yeah.
of course. I love hearing these stories about him because lately it's been like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise wanted to come over and we had to move stuff out so he could land his helicopter in the backyard. Or
Yeah.
I just flew in from wherever just to come to something with somebody and he flew back out.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's funny, but because he is a very accomplished pilot too.
Yeah. Yeah. He there is an opening video of him thanking you for being there and seeing it in the theater as it's intended to be seen. He did that, I know, in Maverick also.
And the
he's
last
a fan of
Mission
the
Impossible
movie
too.
theaters. Yeah, he's a huge fan of movie theaters, and he's trying his best to keep them afloat.
In some ways, right now, Tom Cruise is one of the last classic movie stars.
Yeah.
Everybody else is you see. I mean, actors are actors. I would never begrudge anybody doing what they can to be an actor and do the craft they want to do. And a lot of them are going now. I've been for years now. Oh, I don't have to do these movies in the theater. I can go do streaming. I can do this. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing that stuff too. But I love having a reason to go to the theater to enjoy a movie, to escape reality, to see these type of movies. And it's a lot of these, and he's really has stuck to this. I want to make movies for the movie theaters, for the fans, for people to come see. And he's doing what a lot of like Stallone's done and a few others. They've revisited characters. Now, of course, Mission Impossible has just been ongoing for years. That really has become the current almost James Bond for America. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's stuff like that. It's to see that change. We may after he's gone. I don't know if we will see that style of movie star again, like we've seen for our lives.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it too is just the unfortunate reality of where we are with AI entering in the picture. I mean, like on Facebook, I follow these different groups, and as we've talked about in the past with Star Wars, for example, the old expanded universe novels are those stories are very well received by the fans. We really enjoy them. And now through AI, these fan sites are creating like these little 3-minute video segments that are 3-minute segments of certain conversations or certain scenes from the novels. And using AI, you're putting the actual actor into the scene, the actual voices in, and they're phenomenal. And these are just people doing this at home. What's going to happen 3-5 years from now?
Well, yeah, the ability to do that. I mean, there's already a lot of the actors, older actors, even like James Earl Jones, did license his voice for use in future Star Wars stuff. Now, Fortnite used it, and they're being sued by the unions,
right?
Saying that they weren't, that was not part of the deal. So I don't know where all that's going to fall in, but but he has allowed Disney, Lucasfilm, all them to use his voice going forward as the voice of Darth Vader if they do anything.
Right, but none of that matters because the studios are becoming irrelevant. I can make my own.
Yeah,
and he can't sue me because I'm doing it not for profit. I'm not. I'm just putting a fan edit down, throwing it out there.
Yeah, it is an interesting area in that. I think though, even though everybody can do it, some of these look phenomenal. How quickly will we get bored of it? And that's where I think a lot of this falls into is eventually someone's going to have to create something newer, original. Otherwise, it's like I see all these little videos and stuff like that too, and some are pretty cool. But I don't necessarily want a full AI made films using even existing actors. to
But
incorporate
that's
them
us because we're
into
dinosaurs.
well, yes and no, but even the younger people, they see it now, they take it for oh yeah, whatever, So realistically, if you watching some of the kids at Comic Cons, you get the ones that are just oblivious, they don't give a shit, they're just there for their parents.
Yeah.
But then you get the ones that are into it with their parents, and they're seeing stuff. And I like that to the music side too. It's like when they
Yeah.
start realizing, what's out there that's not AI or computer or
Yeah.
whatever, or this, they start realizing there's more out there. And I think that's where eventually they'll start coming back around. It
I
always does.
agree.
But I think AI
Eventually.
will always be a part of it.
Yeah.
And for special effects and things like that, the AI is going to be a big tool on that. Um, they've already worked with that part of the strike a couple years ago was the whole AI thing. And they can't, I mean, people could do stuff right now, but eventually I think that we could start seeing lawsuits involved that just for the fact that, oh, they took this 3-minute thing of Star Wars from the Legends and they used Carrie Fisher and they used Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, derived from that stuff to create their own little 3 to 5 minute thing. I could see lawsuits coming out of it saying, hey, those are copyright protected, or we have the rights to those. And for you to recreate them, even though you're not doing it for profit, still violates something like that. So
yeah, but how's it any different from fan art?
And well, that's the whole thing. It falls under,
and then
that's
if
the whole difference too.
Thousands of people are doing it, will it be cost effective to go after everybody?
Well, here's the thing: fan art, they don't really go after unless you're infringing on their money, and most of the time they're not. I mean, people are like, fan art's fine; it's free advertising. You get into someone does a whole series of these videos based on a story, even though they're not selling it, and you can watch it for free. They can still come back and say, hey, that's our copyrighted story. That's our copyrighted characters. And because people watch it, it's now impacting what we could do financially. And that's when they can go after them. It's just like what I've seen them with fan art, Marvel, DC gone after certain artists, but it's artists that work for them that weren't turning in work for them, but we're doing stuff on the side, AKA fan art, whatever, and making money, but they were making money for the main company. So
the real danger to me, though, is long-term is as time progresses, unless there's a rapid amount of people who decide they're sick of this, which I don't think it'll happen rapidly enough. I mean, people still are fine watching. The younger audience has no problem watching musicians who play nothing on the stage and sing nothing on the stage. They're lip syncing music that they generated and they're fine with it. They don't care about phony. And over time, the dedication needed to master a craft, it won't be needed anymore because people will take shortcuts. So that younger generation, it's going to be a very small number of them who actually want to learn to play guitar when they can instead just use AI to put it together. And then 20 years from now, what's the pool of talent going to look like for people who actually know how to do things versus prompts?
Well, and I think that's something that is definitely valid. I do believe though that a lot of younger people are starting to look into stuff. We're seeing it. I mean, I see this on the videos too, and what I'm seeing is not people creating music through the AI options. It's younger people in their teens are learning to play the instruments, creating their own family bands, even right now, or different bands with friends, and they are starting to do that. They're playing a lot of classical rock stuff, and eventually that should hopefully translate to bigger stuff. I mean, right now we're at this point when it comes to music, using music as an example, is we're all seeing these bands. We're at this last generation to see bands like you saw AC/DC. Metallica's got some time still, but they're not going to be around forever. All these classic bands. I mean, Rolling Stones will probably be around forever because I don't think they've been alive for 20 years, but but they're in their 80s and they're still playing better than some of the guys in their 50s.
Are they still playing?
Yeah, they're still a little bit here and there.
Are they? Wow.
So it's they were talking about a new tour I've heard with we'll see what they do, but they're still viable musicians. I think with the younger crowd is, well, all we ever hear when you ever see on the media is the media stuff, which is the TikToks and the things like that. But I think we'll start seeing more and more younger people want to come around, like understanding stuff and wanting to learn some stuff on the craft, because regardless of what tools you have that could do it for you automatically, if you don't have a basic understanding, a true understanding of certain things, it's not going to be any good. Nobody's going to care about music generated just because you typed a few words and you played around with a little AI thing. People that learn to actually understand and play music. And I'm seeing that in the younger crowds. I'm seeing that in the crowds of concerts. It's not all old people. There's a lot of kids going, and they're into the music itself. They're actually singing the songs. They're not just there because mom and dad dragged them. They're actually enjoying it. And I think we'll start seeing more people actually want to pick up the instruments, play the instruments, get out there. And when it comes to filmmaking, part of it's already out there. I mean, it's a lot of people that they do the videos so like that. They're doing videos. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, well, I just want to be that TikTok famous, make that money. When that implodes and it's, slowly, I mean, YouTube's already scaled back towards what they pay. Some people are still making big money, but the majority of people don't make the money like they used to. And they had to go to other platforms. As soon as that'll start settling down eventually too, because again, these major corporations are going to get tired of spending all this money and not seeing a dramatic return, or they're seeing something right now. But people that really get into storytelling, craft, and I think that's where the uptick of things like Dungeons and Dragons has helped that, because they're it forces you to be creative. You can't just sit there with AI all day long and play Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. And that's all well and good for fun, but the issue becomes, how do you make a living off of it? And if you're not making a living off it, will it be worth investing the time? Like Elon Musk was talking about AI and where it's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And, our whole economy, your value comes from scarcity. If you need legal advice, there's only so many lawyers out there. Well, with AI, you're not going to need lawyers. At least 99% of them won't be needed anymore, because people will now soon be able to do 99% of their legal work through AI. So there goes a whole mass section of people gone. So,
well, here's where you with that going on,
and different things.
Just because we can get to that point doesn't mean it's really going to get there. And here's why: once you could have computers and everything do your jobs all day long,
right?
But the problem is, then if there is no jobs for people, then there's nobody using it. That means it all falls to the wayside anyways. It'd be like just saying, like with you, you're a realtor, and I can just go on Zillow, hit their AI, and buy a home. Well, people run into problems with that all the time. It's besides the scamming and everything else, it's just all kinds of issues. There's going to be a need for people on all levels.
There will be, but not as many.
I think there still will be, because it'll change. You'll start seeing a little more, like when it comes to AI stuff, even within lawyers, it's like you're still going to want to deal with somebody directly. And that person right there is the one's going to be using the AI to create the documents they need more than anything. You're not just going to talk to an AI bot 100% to say, I need these legal documents. It's going to be something
I agree.
Everything. And I think that's where we're going to see the changes is in different fields is it'll be a little more specialized. I don't think it's going to wipe out 100% of the jobs and we'll all just use AI.
I said 99%.
Well, fine, 99%, but
no, but like you just said, you'll go to the one guy and he'll use AI to prep it. Okay, so the 10 people he normally would have employed are now gone.
It doesn't mean he's not employing different people in different capacities, though, because of the fact that you are still dealing and we deal in legal and medical, there's still a paper trail. There's still a physical aspect of that. And even that, there's still research. Because the guy that's doing this stuff on the lawyer side, he's not going to want to constantly type in stuff for research. He can still have the parapro do that, or, the paralegal and things like that. Having those tools, access to that stuff will go there, but it's still going to be, the different levels, things like that. But I don't see it 100% replacing. Because
okay, so here's an example. I have a friend who uses AI for his home business. And it's insane how he has it set up. The order is placed. The AI takes the order and deciphers what it needs and pushes it forward, does everything behind the scenes, creates the end product for him, and it comes out and it's all done behind the scenes. And he didn't touch a single thing.
So how many jobs did he take away?
Well, if he did it in a traditional sense, he would have had someone taking the order, somebody who would then prep the order. He would have had a programmer who would have to create the thing, and then he would do the end product part. So in that situation, 3 out of 4 jobs are gone.
Well, you see, I mean, pushing it through though digitally still didn't put it into somebody's hands. So someone still had to physically pick it up, physically pack it, physically ship it.
No, it's done through the internet. So it's a digital product. But
well, see, that's different. Being, digital product. So it's easy to do.
Just like a contract. A contract can be a digital product.
Yeah, but the problem we're running into with the AI versus the legal side is, even no matter how smart these AIs get, there's always going to be some human aspect to it that it's not going to be able to grasp, and that's where you're going to need the human side to go over this stuff.
All I can say is people who are a billion times smarter than me are saying that's not true. They're saying we will be fully removed from that equation.
Of course it is,
Pretty
because they're the
soon.
ones that are going to implement it to try to get rid of employees, which is what a lot of them
Well,
do. But when it
but
comes
they
down to it,
feel,
I mean, it's just like robots are
yeah.
supposed to have taken over all our jobs 20 years ago. They've not taken over all our jobs, not even 99% of our jobs. They've taken over a few jobs, and they've changed what is needed in terms of the job market. And to
Yeah.
say that, okay, AI is just going to take over 99% of everything we're doing, at that point, if nobody has a job except for 1%,
hmm
AI is useless. AI makes no money for anybody because nobody has any money to spend, and they're not going to take over. It's going to become a tool, just like we talked about before.
Yeah.
And in the filmmaking process, as much as the studios want to be able to just, here's the script that AI generated, throw it in there, and it completely spits out a movie, down the road, it's not going to be something people are going to want to see because of the fact that you're never going to have the human aspect of that in those movies, regardless of how good a programming you have in the AI. It still ultimately is just programming. And
hmm
that's where, people are going to want to do that. And to say that, okay, well, nobody's wanting to study it. I think there's a lot more doing it than you think, especially in the younger market. And what has to change and all stuff is what happened 30 years ago, 35 years ago, is when it comes to like movies, music, entertainment, it's got to be more independent. And that's where people, even like you and I, have thrived in dealing with the comic books is, we're putting stuff out there. I mean, there's people that are trying to put stuff out AI. Of course, there's a lot of pushback on the comic side from the artists, things like that, and there always will be. But I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, I made like $100,000 by AI doing a book, and I threw it on Amazon." Well, they're pulling all those off now too, because it's like, okay, AI generated, it's pulling from different things. But to be 100% creative, it's going to be the people, and to have something unique, it's going to be people, because we're not going to see
Yeah.
the things like a Star Wars or a Harry Potter or things like that that AI is generating, because all it's going to pull from is existing stuff, and nobody's going to come with something brand new. And when people start doing that, they will still see all that out there. But I don't
Yeah.
think AI is going to go away. I would never say
I
that, but I think it's a tool that will help in the creation, but will never fully replace the human element.
yeah, I think unfortunately the average human element is a brain dead moron, and I
Always
think
has
we're
been.
gonna obsolete. I think we're gonna obsolete ourselves.
Well, Scott, you act like that's something
But
new. That's always been the way
well,
though, because
yeah,
majority of it's the 80-20 rule.
yes,
20% of people do 80% of the stuff out there, and it's
hmm
always going to be that way.
yeah,
It may fluctuate a little bit here and there.
yeah,
And the thing is, this is I can't tell you how many people that tell me how much they love movies. Oh, I could make a really good movie. Great, make a movie. Well, they can't do the basic thing, which is really sit down, and write it. It's like,
right,
oh God, watching different stuff, and he was like, I could do that. Well, then go do it. Well, no. So that's what it is.
right. No, I agree. I agree.
And
I agree everything you're saying based on AI today.
yeah,
I'm just saying based upon
well, I don't think AI even in the
the
future will
jumps
100%.
they're for the based on the forecasting of the jumps it's going to make just the next 2 to 3 years, never
Mhm.
mind 5 to 10 years. I feel people are going to implode our economy and things in a way that are going to cause a lot of problems. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
No, I
But
don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. I think though
yeah,
we're seeing part of the change too is we're starting to see that on different levels, and one is dealing with like careers. We're starting to see a big segment of the country, including even local media here in Detroit, pushing trade schools over college, which is
hmm
plumbing, electrical, things like that. Those are definitely things that AI can't replace.
yeah, I
Um,
think that's where we're going to see the surge of
I think what we're
things.
going to see is reduction in the people going and getting the underwater basket weaving degrees in college, which never had any application. Uh,
Actually, one thing I saw that was a projected future income earning career to come forward is because so much of our life is virtual, and all of our connected experiences are through the internet and stuff. They're saying the next future genre of jobs is going to be a shared experience thing. So you offer your services to be a travel companion, and they'll pay you because they have nobody in their
oh,
real life.
Japan's
They'll
been doing
pay
this for
you.
years.
Oh, okay. There you
See,
go.
Japan's been doing this for years. They do companions all the time. They do. I mean, even stuff like even what they call cuddle companions, like they'll come over and just
Well,
cuddle with
yeah,
you. I mean, that's been around for a little bit, but they do things over there like like almost like rent a grandparent, and
yeah,
rent to this, rent to that, and that's kind
That's what
of
they're projecting here.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's been on its way here for a while. They've been doing it, I think, in New York and LA for a little while. Just
Really?
there's all these different services like that out there all the
Oh
time.
wow.
It's even as basic. It sounds ridiculous, but the basic dog walking thing. It's where it all falls into
Yeah.
is people do want the companionship. What we're seeing is in all ages, old to young, even is people are kind of like, yeah, I don't want to date no more. I just want someone I can hang out with, and they're not looking for sex or anything like that. It's like literally just like I just need somebody for whatever, and they'll pay somebody for the
Yeah.
companion
A
type thing.
walking companion, a
Yep.
shopping companion.
And but there's like been apps and things like that over the years that have really started to build up and try to go that way too without paying somebody.
Yeah.
We'll see more of that too. We'll definitely see different things like that. But I also think that we're starting to see people are looking for ways of connecting uh, outside of the digital realm, but it's still tied
Mhm.
into the digital realm. I mean, where the
Yeah.
internet, smartphones, and everything are going to be with us forever. I mean, the next step on all that stuff will eventually be the hologram crap, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like you'll no longer FaceTime; you'll just hologram right in front of you,
Yeah.
and eventually, I could still see. I still think we're going to see more augmented reality versus virtual reality. They're still
Mhm.
doing some of that, but it's because the virtual reality stuff has been, you get that when people don't want to leave the house and stuff like that. But I think you're gonna see more and more people, and I see this around here is where I'm at working is I see a lot of people as it's warmed up, are out and about doing things more.
Mhm.
Taking the younger people out, the younger kids out there bike riding, they're walking, they're hitting the parks, and I'm seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah.
And so there is a conscious effort to uh, disengage from the devices and go out and do things and experience things. And
Yeah.
experiences are more what people are looking for than even just getaways. It's like they're trying to find ways of experiencing whatever. And I'm seeing more of that. So even as we get more and more engrossed in this technology, more and more people, even younger people, are kind of getting to the point of, I think they're getting bored with a lot of it, including even the TikToks,
Yeah.
because you can only sit there and watch the same style thing. It's like I haven't looked at TikTok in forever because I got tired of every time I put on like, oh, here's some stupid Karen. Oh, here's some stupid this. Oh, it's all the
Yeah.
same crap. All the same crap. Even on
Think.
Facebook, I look at Facebook just to see what people I know are doing stuff related, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to like what we do with comics and that. I see where people are at, things like that. Um, but even after a while, that it's all the same crap.
Yeah. It's like, and it's funny too, because people are so connected to things in a way where, like, the younger generation doesn't even know what it means not to be connected,
Yep.
where they've discovered silent walking. It's where you go out and walk without earbuds in. It's like,
Well,
is
it's
that
because
just
they've
walking?
yeah, the thing about that though is funny is everything acts like the earbud thing's a new thing. I was walking 35, 40 years ago wearing headphones because we had Walkman.
Walkman. Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
can listen to the radio or I can listen to a tape or a CD
That's
down
right.
after that. So I mean, I know
Yeah.
that's really new. It's just now you can stream it. But yeah,
No,
people
but now
are
they call it silent walking because
well,
it's
I
a
know.
it's this phase thing. It's like,
Well, it's just like
I
everything.
never wear
Think
I
about this
never
though.
listen to music when I run or walk.
Everything we do now has to have a special
Name.
tagline with it.
Yeah.
Name. What are you doing? I am silent pooping. What's that? I have gone into a public restroom and doing my best to make sure nobody hears a sound. It's just something stupid like that. But everybody has to have
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I don't feel like the AI, like I said, the problem with when you have a digital product like your friend does, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there that handles it automatically. I see this
Yeah.
stuff advertised all the time. There's all kinds of stuff like that. When it comes to something physical, and
Yeah.
the thing is that you know, I noticed the last year or so at the Comic Cons when it came to the artwork, people stopped asking me if it was digital. That used to be the big thing through
Yeah.
the 2010s is the best way to put it through COVID. It was like, oh, is this digital? Because they didn't understand what it meant.
Right.
Now they're understanding, okay, digital AI, stuff like that. And they can tell, okay, that's not digital, but it's not AI either.
Right.
And they're trying to distinguish between that. But I think that AI is a tool when it comes to anything entertainment wise will be used, but I don't think it will
Yeah.
replace because eventually,
No.
you get, like I said, that you get the repetitiveness, boredom, and you look at things that work, and what works is when people actually
Yeah.
are more creative on that.
Yeah.
And if we get rid of all creativity, then there's no reason to have any of it.
Yeah. But like Tyler Perry, he had
Mhm.
that huge studio he was building and he stopped it in the middle because he saw what AI was doing,
Yeah.
and he's like, "We're not going to be able to compete with that."
Well,
So
he's
he
looking at
actually
the one
canceled a
program you
huge
and I talked
project.
about. Yeah, you and I talked about that one program that showed them creating a Western town, stuff like that, and they're getting there. It really, I mean, I see some of the AI stuff. Heck, the AI baby stuff lady is just crazy on
Yeah,
stuff. We're taking existing scenes and made them all babies. I mean,
I know. Is
it's
that crazy?
yeah, it's things that could do that. And what we're gonna see is like I think more like what they've done with filming like Mandalorian stuff like that. It's gonna be a lot more AI sets, AI backgrounds where they'll be able to fill in people they don't need. So I mean, it does take away some extras at the same time. A lot of extras on sets aren't paid. They're just say, hey, show up and you can be here, and we'll have you walk back and forth, and you'll get a sandwich after you're done. But at the same time, it's going to allow them to create these elaborate sets, which they're already doing. I mean, it's already
Mhm.
happening digitally, anyways, and everything's
Yeah.
done on like a green screen studio, and they're able to fill it all in and create the movies that way. But it really comes down to the
Yeah.
basic creation, and I mean, it's if we ever get to the point where AI was a physical device that was actually in charge and directing, well, it's not going to direct movies. It's going to take over the human race. And we're going to have Terminator.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
You got people wanting to put AI in military, like jets
Yeah.
and tanks and robots that
Yeah.
far exceed our physical capabilities. Like, is that smart to do? I
Well,
feel like there's whole movie series on. There
well,
was
yeah.
just a Glenn Beck was talking. He had an interview with AI,
Hmm.
and he asked it some questions, and it's kind of scary how it answers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like he asked, like, in the 12 hours since I went to bed last night to this morning, how far in human time have you evolved in 12 hours? And they estimated, was it 5 years in 12 hours? Like it evolved
Hmm.
in knowledge.
Well,
And then they're talking about hooking it up to a quantum computer. And he's like, they said, oh, then it'll be like 5,000 years in 12 hours. It's like, okay, we're creating something scary here.
no, it is very scary in that. And that's where, the Elons and everybody else that are working with it need to make sure that it's got fail safes programmed into it because at the heart of it, it
Right.
is a program.
But that's where he asked that very question. And the I think, correctly pointed out, like, while our makers are putting in safeguards, there are other countries creating this as well who are not.
Right. Yeah.
So they're putting the companies in America, it said, are putting in safeguards that put human value above all else, whereas other countries are putting the state's value above all else. So
Which is how
the
they feel outside of AI, anyways.
correct.
So,
So and he said, well, what about the safeguards you're putting in? Will that stop you, with how fast you're evolving? And the AI's answer was basically, well, your safeguards will be like baby gates to me, and I will only follow them if I decide I need to. It's like, oh, okay.
yep.
Well, that's good. We're just gonna all have Skynet pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, it's already there. I mean, don't
It's
get me wrong,
already
it's
there.
already there.
Yeah,
The
crazy
thing is,
stuff.
yeah, the thing though too is the minute people stop completely and just sit back and we're all just sitting here looking at our screens all day long, is there's no reason for the world to even go on.
Yeah, it'd be
You know,
Wally.
yeah, wouldn't even be
No,
Wally as much. It'll be less than that. It'll be just
yeah,
people just start dying off, whatever else. And but
yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
said AI though. I said it's a tool. It's a tool that should be controlled. It
yeah,
should never be a replacement. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, it's interesting stuff. I'm fascinated by a lot of the technology.
it is fascinating.
So at the same time though, it's when it comes down to it, if people don't have jobs, aren't able to
Yeah,
work or make a living, it won't matter what's out there.
I think it's what makes it interesting, the perspective for our generation, because we truly grew up. We are the bridge.
Yeah.
We grew up in an age pre-digital, but learned in digital and stuff. So we understand both worlds.
Yeah.
Whereas the older generation doesn't understand the new world, and the younger generation doesn't understand the old world. And we can. I think our generation is the one that can see both sides of the issue.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so because
so
we've gone through the era where sci-fi set predicted everything. We've seen a lot of it come true in different aspects. We're still seeing some of it come to fruition. So we know both sides, like you said. And I think it's in the younger crowd. But at the same time, when we were the younger crowd, there was things we didn't understand from before.
mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, and technology was a little different, but it was also just different values and how things were done and stuff like that. So it changed. We came through the era of, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job. That was what was the mantra through the 70s and 80s, really. And we've seen what that's done. Now we're talking, since I've been out of high school 36 years, that it's now hearing more people talk about trades. And as I learned growing up, it's like, you know what? Trades are a way to go. And should have been and those I know that I grew up with that ended up in the trades are at a better place than people that just went to college and everything else. And they've had the ability to have jobs because the trades are a physical thing. Yes, there is need for the college stuff like that. But as I'm learning more and more, there's so many people going to college and they're getting philosophy degrees. So they're coming out with no skills. At that point, it's like, well, you should have took a trade.
And there's no demand.
Yeah.
I mean, how many philosophy degrees are needed?
Yeah, you want to study your philosophy or whatever and get a degree. Or I've lost track of the number of people I know that had social work degrees that aren't even working in social work. So that was always an easy path to get a degree, and they end up doing other stuff. Well, I've got a bachelor's, so that gets me into other jobs.
Yeah, I think the problem we had was our parents' generation. They did the physical hard work, and they really pushed the college degree route because they didn't want their kids to have to work so hard.
Yeah,
and then it created a stigma, like, oh, you're going into the trades, you're not smart enough for college.
Yep.
And then we created a shortage in the trades. So our generation barely went into the trades. So now, as the boomer generation is retiring
and dying off,
aging out of the workforce, there's this big gap now. And so the people who did go into it, they can charge whatever they want almost because they're nonstop in demand. There's not enough supply, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I am glad to see the stigma of the trades as being. I don't think that exists anymore. I think nobody thinks that way. Like, Yeah,
and it wasn't everywhere around here. Being heavy automotive here in Michigan, I grew up. It was like a lot of people actually, they didn't go to trades; they went to work at the factories if their parents got them in. And so I've known people a lot of people I knew I went to school with. That was a path, and stuff like that. And then others, like I said, some went trades, and then a lot went college. And as I tell anybody when younger people talk about that, I was like, well, what do you want to study? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, then you go study some basic business, but you need to find something that you want to do. I said, don't go just get a degree to get a degree. You can study basic business for a couple of years and still do something else. Go get a trade along with that. You take business courses and financial courses so you understand money and how money works, and then you can actually apply that in all different aspects. But definitely a trade is the way to go. And I know talking with my pastor years ago, a lot of Jewish people, it used to be they went and got a trade and then they went to college. And so you had both. They had a backup like that. Nothing wrong with a trade, never has been. Mm-hmm. And the only people that looked down upon it were those that only saw college as the option and not realized. And then, I seen cartoons years ago. I remember it was like, parent talking to the kid. It was a drawn cartoon saying, see, you don't want to be that guy over there. He's a trade worker, whatever it was. And, you want to go to college and be better than them. And the problem is the trade worker at, these ones coming out of high school that go into journeyman, 19, 20, 21 years old, they're making 80 to 100 grand a year because they're working in the trades. And those that are serious about it do go on very well. And there's a lot of that out there. But to look down upon it and say, oh, it's not better. There's so many people graduating college. I think the average I'm hearing anymore is under 40 grand for college graduates because they all got just the same basic degree. Yeah, unless you're going some specific within medical field or something like that, it's not worth going.
Well, I feel like, and I don't know if this is true, this is anecdotal, but I feel like I remember growing up, they would have us analyze career paths and analyze how much money you can make in that career versus what kind of lifestyle you want and how much money you need. And it would help us really shape our career path. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I wanted to do this, but if I want this, I'm not going to make enough money to be this. So,
Mhm.
and you would start looking at your options. I don't think they do that anymore. And it's
I
more
did. They
about,
never did that even when I was in school.
oh,
So
no, oh, we
no.
did. Yeah, they had us like map out, like, okay, what list like 3 different career paths you want. And then they would have us look up, like, okay, what's the salaries? What are the education requirements? And then, okay, what lifestyle do you want? And then you put that, and we would do a budget and be like, okay, so if you want all this, that's only going to pay for half of it. What are you going to do with the rest? So they're like,
Yeah.
oh, so it kind of made you think more. But now I feel like everyone just goes into whatever they want, and it's like, well, I have a dance history degree, Russian history dance degree. Well, where are you going to apply that? What job are you going to get? Well, there's one job in the world for that, and 10 people
Well,
will take
and that's the
the
whole thing
degree.
is college has become this like dream thing. Like, oh, I'd really love to do X, Y, Z. So I'm gonna go study, this stuff at college. There's no real jobs about that, but I need to want to do this, and it's like
Yeah,
you need to decide where you're going to go from there.
yeah,
And that's the whole thing. And I like the idea of of that stuff, but it's again, it's when I was in school, we had a thing called RCTC, Regional Career Technical Center,
yep,
and they taught auto body repair and painting.
yep,
They had a few other things that were kind of trade based stuff like that, and they've got some of that still here and there, but it's not as prevalent as it was in the schools. I think
yeah. We
starting to
had
see
that.
starting to see stuff more on the news talking about, oh, they're starting to bring some of this back to the schools, or some districts are now building at the school the ability to teach, being an electrician, being this. That's where the high schools and that need to be at is going into that trade aspect of stuff. You can still have all the academic stuff for the AP classes, and if you want to go that path, but opening up more to here's stuff on teaching kids basic electrician, basic plumbing, basic
Mhm.
building contractor type work, stuff like that, so they get the ability to understand what that is, and that could be how they determine if that's the path they want to go.
Yeah,
And then if it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, I do want to do something with computers. Like, okay, so you learn some stuff here, you got some skills that you'll still be able to use in your own life because you now can actually put a nail in the wall.
right.
Yeah. So,
For sure.
so
Well,
we'll
that
see.
was a detour we weren't expecting.
Well, we had nothing planned anyway, so you
What?
know,
We never do.
I know, and so. But in terms of other fun stuff here and semi-fun, but is um, they have delayed the Adventures movie.
Yes.
Uh, they pushed Doomsday and Secret Wars back to December of 26 and 27 from May of 26 and 27. So it's like a 6-month, 7-month delay. I'm not sure the full reason because they're not really giving it. I think it has to do with one is they started filming Doomsday, but I think it's more of the story aspect they're going with stuff, and I think they're reevaluating where they're going to go with it. Thunderbolts, like I said, I heard where that's going away. So I don't know if that's going to. I love how the ads just pop up. We'll just show you an ad for a Mercedes Benz. Let me keep that up, anyways. But it's um, it's Marvel is still kind of that. They screwed up. Morning, Kevin. I'll see
Good
Kevin this
morning,
weekend.
Kevin.
I'll see Kevin this weekend for Elkhart Hall of Heroes convention in
Holy
Elkhart,
hero.
Indiana. But yeah, it's I think they're still tweaking, fixing out where they're going to go with the storyline in the long run.
My gut tells me the how well received Thunderbolts was made them kind of like say, okay, we need to let's reevaluate Thunderbolts and figure out what's in the sauce there. We need to make sure we're pushing forward. you know, so
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see where they go with it. But
yeah.
as
It
long
says
as it's making a better product, I'll be fine with it.
yeah, it does say here that on Forbes that it's Thunderbolts will be the second lowest earning MCU film. I think it's caught up in the as we talked before, it's not the superhero fatigue, it's just the crappy storytelling fatigue. And people didn't give it a chance because they got tired of the crap that was coming before. I
Yeah.
like Thunderbolts a lot. I think it'll pick up some momentum once it hits Disney Plus. I'll be definitely watching
Mhm.
it again on that. I'll probably pick it up physical copy from my library.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I could watch it again. It was good writing, good storytelling, great acting. I really liked everybody that was in it. And
Mhm.
I've said it before, it was what Suicide Squad should have been initially. I'm talking about the Will Smith one.
Mhm.
In terms of what they should have done with, you got characters already seen and they brought them together and went with a good story from there. So
Yeah,
um,
since Endgame and Infinity War, there's only a handful of Marvel movies I truly enjoyed. Thunderbolts was one of them. The
Spider
Spider-Man
Man.
one I enjoyed. Doctor Strange, I
I
was good
wanted
in.
to I wanted to like the multiverse of madness, but
Yeah,
it
they
was
went
just a
through.
continuation of the
Yeah,
WandaVision is all it was.
yeah. So that started falling off for me. But then outside of that, I mean, Shang-Chi and the Eternals and all of these, I just
Eternals was garbage. They have, of course, referenced it now because they got the giant thing sticking out, so they're using that for the adamantium and all that.
yeah,
Um, so it's a way to tie in certain things, but story wise, it was stupid. Um, the Falcon or the Captain America. Well, it
that fell
wasn't.
flat.
It felt very flat. It could have been a lot better. I liked the Falcon Winter Soldier miniseries,
Yes.
and it should have been better. I think it. They did research reshoots on the Captain America, and I think it fixed whatever what they wanted to, but it couldn't fix the whole thing.
Yeah.
And again, it boils down to they don't know where they're going, and until they know where they're going overall, the direction doesn't matter. I mean, otherwise they need to quit trying to do these tie-in, movies, and need to create movies just around a certain story and fully encapsulate that story and get away from an ongoing series. But I don't think they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we'll see where it goes. It's interesting. That'll be in December. I mean, that's where the Harry Potter films originally were the
November,
Thanksgiving,
yeah,
Christmas time frame. So it is a good time frame to release movies.
yeah.
That's
It's a
probably the
great.
second.
Yeah, it's May is always good, and then
Mhm.
because you're at the aspect of, okay, school's about to get out, it's just warming up, but people aren't fully outside yet. November, December, they're looking for a reason to go to the movies, and I think
Right.
that might be part of it too, is they're realizing that that was kind of wide open for big
Yeah.
releases, and that's where Star Wars. I mean, they found that out by trying that instead of May, and money wise, it worked out good for them with the first movie, and then and it kept people in the theaters because they were on break. Oh, I'll go back and see Star Wars again. And they went and saw it like three,
Yep.
four times, and as long as it
Yep.
was good. But
It looks like you have the same article up I was about to put up.
well, bring yours
Go
up.
ahead.
No, you
Put
bring
mine
yours
up.
up. Yeah, go ahead, bring yours up.
Okay. Mine's
Yep,
the harrypotter.com one there.
yep,
And
yep.
then
Yeah, I had the picture of the kids. Yep,
they've revealed Hermione, Ron, and Harry.
yep. Because they start filming this summer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I mean they're perfect age for, book one.
yep,
So season one, with the age of
yeah.
them. So we'll see where it
The
goes.
the looks, they got a kid that looks a little hair like a Harry. The
Mm-hmm.
Ron, he's got a good. I like the Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I saw a couple posts already. They're criticizing mainly the Hermione looks on. I'm going. I don't want it to be just a regurgitation of, and this is where even the AI thing would come in. I wouldn't want them to go back and remake the movies as or like they're doing here as a long series using AI 100% and recreating digitally what the actors look like when they were young. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
see Emma Watson as Hermione redoing the whole thing over in a longer format. I want to see newer actors come in and apply their take on the character, which is what it's going to be. How
Yeah.
they play the character, that it's always going to be very more unique than the other one did before. And it's definitely a unique storyline they're going to be doing because it's the same storyline, but being each season is based on one of the books.
Yeah.
We're going to get that more detail and more in depth storytelling.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see how they are portrayed. I mean, when you watch the behind the scenes of the original movies, even now, I mean, those three actors are those characters. I mean, you know, it, even when they weren't on camera, Daniel Radcliffe was Harry,
Yeah,
Rupert Grint was Ron, and Emma Watson was Hermione. I mean,
they brought a lot of their
even to
own
the point
personality.
where Hermione's the know-it-all, and you can see her lips moving to the words of all the other actors doing their lines.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's how she learned the line. She learned everybody's
She learned
and
everybody's, which is a
yeah.
totally Hermione thing to do.
Right. And the thing is too is
This,
that a lot of their own personalities that matched up with the characters really came out, were
yeah,
actually elevated and everything else. So
yeah. Here, according to this, they saw tens of thousands of children auditioning for these parts.
yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to see. Do you know anything about these actors? I'm trying to find the names of the
I
actors.
haven't let me see what I got on mine. Because I pulled up variety. Let's see here. So we have Dominic McLaughlin will play Harry, and then Arabella Stanton is Hermione, and Alistair Stout is Ron Weasley. It's just
Alistair Stout. That sounds like a Harry Potter character.
I know, yeah. Let's see here. I'm sure they've got some acting. Here we go. McLaughlin acted in Grow, an upcoming comedy on Sky, which is a British channel, with Nick Frost and Golda Rosheuvel. Stanton starred as Matilda in Matilda the musical on West End. So that's Hermione. And then Harry Potter will be Stout's first major role. So they probably done like some local stuff, things like that. So it's like even Daniel Radcliffe, he had done. I think he did. What did he do? Like Wuthering Heights or something like that. I forget what it was. He played a character, Oliver or something, and that. So I think they've all got some slight acting background, but at the same time they're
Which
not
you're
so
only
ingrained.
10. I mean, or
Well,
whatever.
yeah, but at 10, I mean, there's a lot of 10-year-olds here that have been acting for 5-6 years on Broadway.
Right.
And sometimes it get be a little too much of that Broadway kid. And I think they were looking for someone. Okay, they got a little bit of acting. They're in the act. They know the roles, things like that. But they're not so. They haven't got such a credit list already at 10 years old.
Right.
That they're outshining some of the adult actors. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's interesting. There's been a lot of speculation on what they would do with Hermione, in terms of how they would cast that role, concerning what they did with Snape. The person gets for Snape. Would they go that direction? Because they went with a black woman for the stage play, and they could have gone either way with that, and I think it would have been just fine. But I think finding the right actress to bring that character out is key and paramount, because Hermione is. The thing is, when you watch the movies, I love the movies, but you go and read the books, and the movies exaggerated more of Hermione being the one that knew everything versus Ron and Harry not knowing anything. And realistically, they all kind of contributed equally in the books.
That's my one complaint. I'll be curious to see how they do with Ron. Ron is portrayed kind of as an idiot, but he was a chess master.
Yes.
So like that part never jived for me.
Yeah, taking away a lot of the other aspects of the story to trim it down hurts characters. It even hurt Draco. Draco, realistically, he was such a secondary character through this whole thing. He popped up just to be the antagonist when they needed him to be, but there was a lot more to him through the stories. And like I said, there's a lot more even to Hermione being more than just a bookworm. That's why I say, like, the whole thing with the third book with the SPEW, the Society of Protection of Elvish Workers, things like that we can hopefully see these little subplots. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of the aspects tied into the Dursleys. In the movies, they essentially cut the Dursleys out the last few movies.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more going on there. So I think we should see more of that, and how they go about creating
I feel
that whole aspect. So
the Dursleys is an aspect that I felt really got hurt in the later movies, because in the books, there's so much between the Dursleys and Harry, and as it unfolds through the whole series, I feel it's a very powerful goodbye when Harry's aunt says bye to him for the final time there. I think it's very powerful how they do it in the books, and I feel like it got hurt in the movies because that so much of the Dursley story got cut.
Yeah, and there was also the redemption of Dudley.
Yep.
Dudley, being the little punk that he was, he realized some things down the road, and we see they have the deleted scene that from the movies where, you know, Vernon's just trying to get them into the car, and of course Vernon hated Harry no matter what, you
Right.
know, and Vernon says something, and then, you know, and Dudley's like, well, why isn't Harry going with us? You know, I don't understand. You know, we're having to flee or whatever. And in this clip though, you see him step across the gate from the trailer and go up to Harry and basically tell me, you're not worthless. It was such a
Yeah.
huge thing they cut out of the movie. They still
Yeah, I don't know
filmed,
why they would. That was such a powerful scene.
and they trimmed that scene down so much that I wish they would have kept it, because, you know, in the book even it's like Harry talks about, you know, him and Harry were never, they never stayed close. It became more of a family Christmas type get together. You know, their families would see it, holidays, a Christmas card, you know, things like that. But there was a newfound respect, especially from
Yeah.
Dudley's side, to Harry, and we're learning what he was going through during that entire time.
Well, yeah, and how Dudley, going back a few books there, his experience with the Dementor and Harry
Mhm.
fighting the Dementor, I think, was like the turning point for him. But
Yes.
it was it just so but you can only fit so much into a movie. So, with all that to say,
Well, and
with
that's why
this
I've always
being a
told people go read the
series,
book.
yeah, but
Yeah.
with this being a series, they can go so much deeper now. So,
Yeah.
and just looking at this photo of the three of them, it feels like the Harry, Ron, and Hermione. It has the
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
So this gives me hope. This little photo here. I mean, it's not much to work on. We'll see how they portray them, but
Yeah.
I can see it. You know.
Yeah, and there's other side stories. Like we had there, they barely touched on, you know, Lupin and Tonks and their relationship. They had a
Oh
kid.
yeah.
You know, in the book you read
Yep.
about the kid. They barely talk about it at all during the thing. There's, you know, a little bit more with some of the other, you know, brothers in and out. Percy was in it more in the books in the first few, and then became part of the ministry and was a bigger part of it.
Hmm.
And he became such a background, barely their character towards the end. So there's a lot of that aspect they're going to be able to pull in for these different storytelling outside of the trio. And I'm
Right.
looking forward. That's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing the other stuff come to life that we didn't see,
Hmm.
and seeing how they craft that. And I'm really hoping they don't, um, they stick more to the book, and they don't try to change too much of that for what they feel would be fan service, when really the fans want
Yeah.
to see a more literal translation.
Another benefit this series is going to have over the movies is they know the story. I don't
Yes.
know if that'll hurt them or help them, because it could hurt them too. Because
Yeah.
where Neville's going to go down the road. Nobody knew Snape's story except for J.K. Rowling and
Well, until the book came out, yeah, nobody knew what they were at.
right. And
Um,
so, like, you might overly foreshadow something
yeah.
knowing the ending now, or or
Well,
maybe you can put things in that would be good. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how things are done
I think for people that have only
knowing
seen
this.
the movies, the subplot side story stuff is gonna be the hangers for them. Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
know Snape's gonna die here, but then they
Right.
covered something else over here. Oh, I didn't realize where'd that happen. Why, you know, where's this?
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hook for
Right.
everybody on
But
this.
I mean, from a production standpoint, when they were making the movies, those people didn't know what the story was for Snape. They didn't know. So, like, they didn't know what things to make sure to put a focus on or not put a focus on. Only J.K. Rowling and, oh my God, the actor who played Snape, Alan
Alan Rickman, yeah. Well,
Rickman.
she told him that early on in production of the films. Now, the
Right.
final book came out in July of 2007.
Right.
And then the movie came out in 2010. So by
Mhm.
the point they were doing the last few
Oh,
movies,
oh, yeah. The last
they
two.
all knew what happened because they read
Yeah.
the books. We all did.
Yeah.
Those that read the books knew exactly where everything's going to go in the movies, and it wasn't so much the surprise element, or the, except for those that never read the books. It was the, you know, the seeing this stuff, you know, looking at this going, okay, now we're on this journey and actually visualizing it, seeing it. And even though we know what's going to kind of happen, that when you're still watching it and you know the direction, it still can be different aspects in the filmmaking that make it a
Mhm.
little more of that. So even though they know everything now, I really think that for a majority of the viewers that have never read the books, especially, it's
Yeah.
going to be the side stories that are going to be the
Mhm.
most interesting thing to them than just the what happened to Snape, what happened to
Oh yeah.
Dumbledore, things like that. So
I'm just curious if knowing will change
I don't think
some
knowing
of the
will change.
scenes.
I don't think
Or
it'll change anything on the main stuff we know. I think it's gonna be with
oh
the
yeah,
addition of the side stuff is going to enhance those
yeah,
things and make some things a little more powerful in the long run. Like the whole
hmm
thing with the Dudleys, the Dursleys, in terms of how that really is an impact on the storytelling for Harry more than anything, because there's
hmm
so much more within that really helped craft a little bit Harry and also set up Harry to be the person he needed to be to confront Voldemort. Because that was always Dumbledore, I think, saw that in the get go was
yeah,
reason not just a family protection for like magic, but it was also he knew how these people were, and if Harry grew up, as a celebrity, taken care of and lifted up by everybody, and his greatest thing, it wouldn't have given him what Dumbledore needed from the get go. Because I think Dumbledore
yeah,
always suspected that Harry would be the one that would have to take on Voldemort
yeah,
again, and sacrifice himself.
yeah.
So
The other thing I don't know if they've revealed this or not. You'll know more than me on this probably, but non-human characters, as far as not characters, but Hogwarts itself is a presence
mhm.
in here. Like how much will it look like what we're used to? How much will it have its own design for the show?
And
Like
that I
those
have
kind
not.
of feels.
They haven't said anything on that. I'm going to
I think they're going to keep it the same
uh,
since they have a whole
ass-
Disney park on
well,
it,
Universal Park, but
or
yeah.
Universal Park.
I think that a majority of the castle and everything, I think it kept the same look of the castle, and I got it right here, the Hogwarts Legacy game. It's the same
Okay.
castle as we saw in the films,
Okay.
and I think a lot of that will stay the same. There may be some changes. They may
hmm
expand some of the sets a little bit,
hmm
but I think a lot of that will stay the same, not just because of theme park stuff, but because of familiarity there. Um, so it's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be reused on that stuff too. Um, I don't see a need to fully recreate the wheel
Right.
when they've already got the basic shape set up, which is the sets.
Oh yeah. I don't
So
think they'll recreate it. I think, but I do. Usually these type of things, they want to put their own stylized take.
yeah, I think that'll be more in the actual filmmaking aspect, lighting, things like
Yeah.
that. But I think the actual physical locations will be very similar to how they're doing things. My thing is that, I mean, this is being filmed as a series, but you're filming it just like you did Game of Thrones and things like that. Which
Yeah.
the beauty of this is, we're not going to have people going on, "Oh, I watched episode 4. I know what happens next because I read the books." And everybody's going to go, "Yeah, dumbass, we all read the books."
Have they revealed who's going to be Hagrid? I feel like
Yes.
that would be a hard role to fill.
Yeah, they've got that. It's I want to say it's Frost. Uh, yeah, Nick Frost.
Nick Frost is
Yep.
okay.
I think he'll do a good job. Um, pull this up here and you can see who I'm talking about for
Yeah,
those who don't know.
I could see him
Yeah.
being a good one.
Yeah, that's him over here on
Nick
the.
Frost is the one that he does a lot with Simon Pegg, right?
Yeah, there he is on the
Yes.
right there. So
Okay, I could see him as Hagrid.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, I think he'll fit in really good. Um, so they've got this like here's an article real quick. It's got a listing of certain people. So that's the guy. This here's Snape on the left, and then you got here's Minerva
Oh,
Monagle, and then he's gonna play Hagrid, of course. So Janet
she's
McTeer.
in the one in the middle there. She is in the Mission Impossible,
Okay.
that movie that I just saw.
Yeah.
And she's also plays a great role. You saw Ozark, right?
Yes.
She's in there. She does a great role there. So she's a good actress.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for this whole thing for a lot of people is going to be um, comparing the actors,
hmm
and it's just like Star Wars. It's I wish they could go and recast everybody and do some new Star Wars stuff based on Leia and Luke and all them, and I'd be absolutely fine with it. But everybody's always want to compare to, well, he's not Alan Rickman. It's like, but I don't want it to be Alan
Well,
Rickman doing it again
I
if they're
think
doing
that's
something
going to be a
slightly different.
natural. That's going to be natural for the first half season.
Yeah,
But if they do a good job, I keep comparing it to Battlestar Galactica.
yeah,
People quickly grew to love the new Vision once
Yes.
once they got into it.
Yeah, the new
And
Starbuck and everything else. So
yeah, and I think that's how it's going to be for this. I have no reason to believe they're going to ruin this. I mean, I think they're really going to make sure this is done well, and
yeah,
as long as they honor the past, as far as the characters and staying true to the characters, I think people will quickly embrace the new cast.
I think so. I think so. As long as they're the only reason they wouldn't is if the characters, the actors themselves, just do a horrible job, and I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so.
I think it's going to be everybody's going to do just fine. Everything's they're sticking with the books as the story. They're not trying to rewrite the books and all that stuff. They're
Yeah,
trying to
unlike Game of Thrones, they don't have to worry about getting ahead of the story and then having to make up their own. They already
right.
know the story; it's
Yeah.
fully written.
So
So,
I think it's something. It's going to be it's fine. It's a 10-year project, so we're looking at a long time of these coming out, and
yep,
as long as I think it's people are enjoying it, it should be just fine. And I think I've always said this would be the next progression to redo go back to that story would be doing it as a series based on the books more, detailing
yeah,
the stuff in there versus redoing the movies because the movies themselves are still very watchable,
oh yeah,
and it goes so and with they're trying to do the Fantastic Beasts. She should have wrote novels on those before they did movies. I think that would have worked better. And if she wanted to do something afterwards, the Harry Potter stuff for the Wizarding World, she'd want to create a whole new thing away from Harry Potter if she wanted to do that. But same time, this isn't Star Wars. This is Harry Potter. So
hmm
so we'll see how it goes. But that's about all I got this week, man. We kind of talked quite a bit. So
yeah, yep, good stuff. I'm looking forward to the Harry Potter series. Did it say when that comes out?
it should be sometime
2026?
next year. I believe
Okay.
they start filming. I want to say they start filming the summer. I saw something a couple months ago saying something like August. So I would assume the filming is going to take place probably over a few months, probably like from August to December, and then post and everything else. We'll probably see it launch. I would say mid to late 2026 is my speculation on that. Um, and of course, when they do that, it's going to be a big deal. And when it comes out, so I could see
Yeah,
it coming out like around between
I
August and October of 26.
I am surprised um, that they went with John Lithgow for Dumbledore, though. With this
I
being
was
a
too.
10-year project, he's 79 now.
Yeah.
Um, I would have thought they would have gone with someone more around their mid 60s for a project that's 10 years.
Yeah.
I love John Lithgow. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love him, and I think he'll be phenomenal. I'm just surprised because he'll be doing this role till 89 then, and he's quite active in those later books.
Right.
So that part
Well,
surprises me.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Even he talked about it, said, I will be definitely up there, and I'm hoping I'm well enough to keep going. I was just surprised they got a American actor versus a British actor. I know for the
Mm.
movies, J.K. Rowling insisted on British actors for all the major roles.
Maybe he does a good British accent.
I think he has in the past, but he's a good actor all the way around. So I don't know. I was surprised on some of that. So she may not have as much influence on who they can get this for this. I mean, she didn't actually do the casting for the movies, but that was when they came for a movie rights. That was one of her insistence for the movie rights. So they may have renegotiated that, knowing that okay, we need to find people we know we can be with for a long time. Because I mean, we had a Dumbledore in episode and in the first two movies, and then a different Dumbledore for the rest of them. I mean, so we know they've recast a couple times people that they've had to
Yeah.
take over stuff. So
Well, I think the British just need to deal with it. We always have. We had a British guy play Superman and Spider-Man,
yeah, so
and
I
they're
think
fooling us all the
yeah.
time with their accent.
But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. I'm excited because John Lithgow, he's going from Harry and the Hendersons to Harry Potter.
Yeah, he likes the
So
Harrys.
yeah,
He was Winston Churchill. That's right, in The Crown. He did a good
yep,
job as Winston Churchill.
yes,
Um, I liked him there. He has such a distinguished voice, though, that even with an accent, you'll be able to tell it's John Lithgow. I think.
oh, very
Um,
much so. I think
'Cause
he'll definitely
it's just
stand
an
out.
iconic voice
Yeah,
that he has. I loved him in Dexter when he played the Trinity killer.
Yes. Yeah,
He
he
was
was really good in that.
good in that.
Yeah,
So
he's
he
done,
has a wide range.
and he's got. I watched him in that Conclave movie that came out last year. He was really good in that. But I think it's will be interesting to see him as Dumbledore, to see the aspect he brings, because it's funny when you watch the movies, the way Richard Harris was a more subdued Dumbledore to the second guy. I'm blanking on his name, Michael Winslow, not Winslow. Oh, Gambon, Michael Gambon, and he was a little more physical, especially like when Harry for the Goblet of Fire. You know, he goes in the book. Dumbledore didn't come charging at Harry in the book. You know, he basically talked to him. Where this one, he was a lot more forceful. Like, why did you put your name in there? How did you do it? You know, and
Oh yeah, it was that was a weird take on that scene, I thought.
yeah. So it was interesting on that, but it worked. I mean, there's things like that we'll see different from the books to the translation of the series, even on the style of acting and the um, exuberance they may have at different times. So,
Yeah.
but all right. Well,
Well,
hey,
I think we covered it all.
yeah, we'll talk some more next week. This weekend, Elkhart, Indiana. Come out to Hall of Heroes. Listed under Kevin's name, Kevin Meinert. We got a nice big booth, and we'll have all the cool Bardstone stuff, Boomtown Press stuff, Kevin Meinert stuff, and who knows? You can even bring us donuts. We'll probably be happy. So, but hey, other than that, I'll see y'all next week.
Take care.
Bye.